Hi, I'm Larry Kortkamp, and this is Biz Pointz TV, the show that introduces you to new and trending business topics, smart technology, and the people that are making an impact in our small business community. We've got one of those people with us today. You're going to find his story very interesting, and what he does is even more interesting. We'll be back in just a minute to get it started.
Create a stronger and more dynamic business. Larry Kortkamp, founding partner at the Kortkamp Group, talks with industry insiders about trending topics moving the needle for local business today. Here's your host, Larry Kortkamp.
Hi, and welcome back. Today's guest is Lance Bodwell. Now, Lance, usually I introduce with somebody with maybe their title. Lance does too many things. Thanks for joining us today, Lance. We're going to talk about, obviously, the restaurant industry today because you have a big influence in that, plus a lot of other things that we're going to touch on today. So, again, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me on, Larry. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's start off with, why don't we start off with Cedar Creek? It's one of your newer things that you've got your fingers into. It's Cedar Creek Brewhouse and Eatery.
That is correct.
And you've got great beer and great food.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So we are actually a restaurant first. The brew house is an addition, which, it's part of the business plan. So that it's a great marrying between Cedar Creek Brewery out of Seven Points, Texas, and then our culinary and operational side that does obviously the eatery side of things. So
you do actually do some brews right on site, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, we do. We do weekly, we do probably two brews a week. And then on a bi-weekly to monthly, we'll be doing about 4 staple beers a month.
But you and I have talked a lot, and you always say, yeah, it's the beer. Obviously, that drags them in.
Right.
But we also want people to know that you've got food.
Yes, sir.
And having been a patron of your restaurant, you've got some great food.
Thank you.
So what kind of a crowd would you say, what kind of an eatery crowd are you attracting? How would you classify your restaurant?
We're very diverse.
Yeah.
Which is great. The diversification of craft beer locally is crazy. We had another restaurant when we opened it. There were about 20 local breweries within the Metroplex, a 75-mile radius. And after 6 years, there was about 85 now. So it's really made a large impact.
So how long is Cedar Creek location? Where is this one? It's in Farmers Branch.
7 Points. Oh, well, this location, the Brewhouse and Eatery,
yeah.
Right. It's separate from the brewery itself.
Right.
We are a restaurant. But, yeah, we're in Farmers Branch right now, and we are building another location in Craig Ranch as well.
The one in Farmers Branch, it's a great location. You've got, you're next to some apartments.
That is correct. Mustang Station.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you've got some other tenants. It's kind of a nice little...
Cox Markets is across from us. They're the other anchor on the locations. And then as well we have Tiffany Dairy has her Roots Southern Table right next to us. And there will be Uno in Monavong. She's doing a Red Sticks on the other side of her. So we will have a nice kind of diversified eating area right there. And there's also a local dentist as well, orthodontist. So
it seemed like a very active, I don't want to say it's strip center because it's more than that. It's
right.
Actually kind of a little destination location there. Great for events, I would imagine, and some other items that are going
yes,
on. And your restaurant, you haven't been as open for the lunch crowd, but I guess that's going to be changing hopefully in the future. Right now you're kind of focusing on the dinner crowd.
About a week from today, we'll be open for lunches Tuesday through Friday, and then brunches Saturday and Sunday.
So that means for our audience, there's some job openings that are
yes,
coming up for that location.
Of course.
Is Cedar Creek a good place to work?
It's a fantastic place to work. That's one of the biggest things that we have is that we kind of build a family, and that's, we have people that have worked with us for 6, 7 years. And in this industry, that says a lot, we tend to attract a lot of people that come in and they love the environment. They love the fact that we take into account, their family lives and other things outside of just the dollar and the business side of it.
And I don't want to get too far into the industry as a whole yet, because you and I are I'd like to talk to you some more about that, but right now the industry has a tough time with staffing, but Cedar Creek doesn't seem to have that problem. You always have people that want to work there, and I'm assuming that's a testament to the atmosphere and the fact that that they like working there, that you provide them with a lot of features and benefits as far as, even if it's just the camaraderie of working there.
Right. And it's, I'm not going to say that it hasn't been tough because, normally pre-COVID, you would have opened a restaurant like this with about 20% more staffing than you would have needed. And you would have gone full-blown, all out media push, social media, advertising, marketing, everything of that nature. We would have already been open lunches, dinners, brunches, the whole thing every day. So post-COVID, fast forward, it's a whole different ballgame for sure. And that labor force is just not there the way we need it to be. But slowly but surely, and we just keep pushing, to get to our objectives. So,
and as far as what is your, and I don't want to say what you do because you do a lot of stuff, but are you more of an investment side, or are you more of a project guy? How would you classify? How did you get involved with Cedar Creek?
So Jim Elliott, who owns Cedar Creek Brewery in 7 Points, came to my other business partner and myself and asked us, we were kind of the local craft brewery go-to restaurant spot.
Yeah, what's your investment club name that you...
Well, I own Lots of Beer. Yeah, Lots of Beer LLC. So, yeah. But we had a restaurant called Luck, and that was kind of the first trendsetter, in Trinity Groves that opened where we only served craft beer. Meaning we didn't serve, your Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, any of that stuff. If you were not a brewery within a 75-mile radius, you did not get on the taps. So, we've developed major relationships within the brewery world because of that. And so Jim came to us and said, hey, I'm in 7 Points, Texas, and, I'm selling beer in 5 states, but I sell more beer in Atlanta, Georgia than I'm selling in Dallas, Texas, because nobody really knows about me. Can we partner up and make a brew pub or something where I'm getting my brand out there as well? And so we worked together, and here we are 3 years later.
3 years later.
Yeah.
Is that the first time you'd ever been involved in, maybe from the ground up, kind of an application, the actual construction part of the restaurant? Or
from an ownership point, yes. But as an operations guy or consultant, I've done it many times. I used to do it with Marriott, hotels, doing convention centers and full hotel builds, things like that. I worked with all of those things. So. Do
you like it better telling other people what to do, Lance, or do you like...
I prefer to tell them. I like to oversee and quarterback, So, yeah, for sure.
Getting into some of those things about the industry, and I think we'll talk about that. We're getting ready to go to break here in a little bit, and I think that's a longer conversation that we'll have, but it's one that I think is we'll find very interesting as far as how your perspective on the industry and how you manage. But I must say that when I was in your restaurant, everything was. Whenever I'm there, I'm always amazed at how everybody knows what their jobs are. They seem to have a good attitude when they're doing it. They were very personable. There is an overall feeling of the customer is important and taking care of the customer. The last time I was there, just this past weekend, there was a large crowd that came in unexpectedly. We had some bike riders that came by, and the staff was able to actually handle that influx very easily. Everything seemed to work well, and that kind of stuff, as a business consultant, that comes from the top down. So that's something that you must teach. How do you relay that type of atmosphere to your people?
You build a foundation. So it's training and development. That's the main thing. You don't want your staff to look at each other as competitors as much as teammates and helping. If you can do my job, then that allows me to move up and do another job, so, and it's just a matter of cross-training everyone and fluently, hammering on the basics, without the customers, we're nothing. Absolutely, they take care of all of our bills, so.
Do you teach your wait staff how to, I don't want to say upsell, it's not that kind of an industry, but it is.
It is.
You've got to, push the craft beer, push the
Sure.
things, and how to do that well, right, without disturbing the clients and the customers.
Right. There's definitely a psychological piece to that. It's a psychological sell. Something I learned, many, many years ago in telemarketing when I was a kid. But yeah, I mean, you don't have a tangible object in front of you, so you've got to upsell and sell the intangible. And that's creating that need, desire, and drive for that piece.
And I know this is one of your restaurants, one of the Cedar Creek restaurants. How many are there that are?
So we're building our second one and looking at our third location as well.
Where's the second one going in?
At Craig Ranch, at
Craig
Hub
Ranch?
121, Craig Ranch out in McKinney,
Very nice.
Frisco area. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors. We're going to talk more about the restaurant industry as a whole and companies in general and how the management techniques. Lance has a very interesting background that he brings to his management style, including some military background. So we'll get more into that when we come back from this quick break. We'll see you in just a bit.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working, or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? Or spending late nights and covering deep government corruption? Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
A polished look says a lot about you. In under 3 seconds, that first impression can open and close doors. Japrive has the brands you love to wear. Style & Company, Pistola, Aiden, Vince Camuto, and more. 165 labels with fit that flatters. Japrive.com. Japrive ships from Farmers Branch, Texas. Ask us about local DFW fashion shows that bring Japrive right to you. Upscale fashion doesn't have to be expensive, and you don't have to dig through racks of clothes that end up damaged and missing buttons from being tried on over and over and over again. Japrive.com is your answer to fine clothing in casual, career, and formal wear. Make a name for yourself. Do it in style. Japrive. Japrive.com. Name brand apparel without the department store prices.
Hi, and welcome back. We're talking to Lance Bodwell. Today we're talking about restaurateurs, but it's actually more than that. Lance, you are a community builder. I've heard Susan Hamilton, our CEO, talk about that a lot, how you actually structure what you do, and it actually does bring a community together. And that's really how you look at things anyway. Before we went to break, we talked a little bit about your history. Tell us a little bit about what got you into this part of the business.
So, restaurant industry in general, I started when I was in the military as a second job, and I was putting my wife at the time through medical school. So that's not something you can generally do on an airman first class salary. So had to do that secondary thing. When I got out of the military, it just seemed like a natural fit. And growing up, as a child, my father was a chef, so it just kind of all came together for me, I guess. It's kind of second nature at this point. After 40 years, 30, 40 years of doing this, you know.
So how do you bring a trait or what learning experience did you bring from your military experience into this industry or whatever you do in general?
Right. So, you know, I don't adhere to what most people think of when they think of military training. I mean, I do adhere to chain of command, but at the same time, you know, I believe in doing things more of getting everyone's ideas out on the table, each integral piece, you know, what's going on in this piece of the operations, what's going on in that piece of the operations. We put it all together, and then collectively as a team, we choose the path that we're going to go down together. And, you know, it's that old saying, 2 heads are better than 1, but 5 heads are better than 2, in my opinion, most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. So.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about that off camera as well. You know, in the really in consulting or business in general, the people that oftentimes start businesses are not always prepared to continue businesses, because once they get to that point where they have to start delegating duties, sometimes their personality traits don't lend that way.
Right.
And the business model that you're talking about, the management style, is actually really, truly that delegation of duties mentality. You have to be, number one, confident in your abilities to teach, but then also confident in the abilities of the people that you put in those positions to do what you're asking them to do.
Yep.
And as you mentioned before, micromanaging.
One of my biggest pet peeves in the world, coming up through the ranks and everything, I could never stand being micromanaged. You know, I mean, if my boss was there, I'd always tell him, like, isn't it about time for you to leave? I mean, I got this, you know, go home, go spend time with your family or whatever, you know, so.
But that's also that's a confidence builder for the individuals themselves, right? And,
yes.
And oftentimes in the restaurant industry, we're taking people that are possibly entering into the workforce for the first time.
True.
And they're learning
right.
management techniques. They're learning how to manage people.
Right.
And
building
all these
teams.
Building teams.
You know, that's the biggest thing.
And really, this is kind of a smaller discussion to the larger intro we were talking about, which is community. How do we take businesses like what we're talking about here? How do we make them help to build a community? How does the community get involved? Are you a member of your chamber?
I am. You know, in Farmers Branch, we're a member of that chamber, and as well, you know, the Tri-Area Chamber, Metro Chamber, I mean. So we like to do things with them. You know, we've done fundraisers, helping out with the local communities in that area. You know, we just did a celebrity waiter toilet paper drive for MetroCrest Services. And that's a deal. They usually spend about $50,000 a year on toilet paper. And they were looking for a way to, you know, raise 500 rolls of toilet paper they were hoping for. And we ended up, the way we did it, we had the mayor with his city council team. We had the police chief with 5 of his guys, the fire chief with 5 of his guys. They each took a shift, and, you know, then they called everybody they knew and said, hey, come on in and, you know, donate some money and have a good time with us, and we'll, you know, do something great for this charity. And we, you know, said, okay, we're going to do it here, and if you bring in a 6-pack of toilet paper, you get a free beer, you know, and if you bring in a 12-pack, you get chips and salsa with the beer, you know. And anyways, by the end of it all, we ended up raising over 16,800 rolls of toilet paper for MetroCrest Services. So by far, you know, just blew the whole event away. It was fantastic. We had a little trophy that was a golden roll of toilet paper, and this was the first annual, you know, so we'll be doing this as an annual event, and everybody loved it. We probably had well over 400 people come through the restaurant, you know, so it was great for us, great for them, you know, we loved it. And that's the kind of things we do, you know, we like to do that, so. Does
that encourage others within the community to do the same thing?
I think so.
Are you friendly with other people that are other business owners? I know you talk to a lot of people and you're around that. Do you see an energy or a willingness to help the community with other people that you talk to?
I do see, you know, there's certain people that are more, they want to insert themselves to help out more than others, for sure. And I have found, you know, that in the restaurant community itself, it's kind of tough to get owners of different restaurants to come together and partner up and help each other, you know. you know, hey, this works great for us. How can we help you, you know, or maybe this person would be a better fit in fine dining than they are in fast casual, you know, so maybe they should come work with you, you know, and just help each other out. You know, it's a real tough, kind of tight-knit, cliquish community at times. But overall, in the community itself, I mean, yeah, we've got, you know, Jesse, you know, the guy from Allstate, he's over there and he's, you know, he wants to bring in more people and he wants to help, you know, raise funds for this, you know, or raise money for that, you know, and different, the chamber themselves, you know, that's a whole nother community. And Farmers Branch, by far, probably the best community I've ever seen. The people, they come together, the way they come together, the way they all support each other is fantastic.
Yeah, we've said it an awful lot. We love working with the Farmers Branch Chamber. Their leadership is very focused on community involvement, getting business involved. Like we said, things come from the top down, and really within that particular chamber and in the city itself, the leadership effort is really focused on getting the businesses involved.
Yes.
I like the way that you talked about maybe getting the restaurant people together. We have some other groups that we work with in other cities around the area, in Allen and so forth. And when we can get those businesses, particularly those in like industries, to work together, the results are much, much better.
Right.
And you just said it. Somebody that in your industry, if you're working for a lunch crowd, or they would fit better in a dinner, to be able to have the confidence to be able to tell someone else they can do that.
Right.
Number one, it helps your relationship with your staff.
Yep.
Right, then they know that you're focused more on their well-being.
That's right.
Exactly, and a lot of it just comes from fear on the part of the owners, and and they've been through a very fearful time. I don't want to make it sound anything different than it is, because it's been a tough time, particularly for restaurants.
We've lost probably 50 to 60% of the restaurants, you know.
Yeah, and then each one of those that goes down, as we've said many times, we lose. The ancillary businesses that are in there go with them. So we're going to talk a few more when we come back with Lance Bodwell in just a minute. We're going to take a brief break, hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll see you in just a minute.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working, or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated.
Hi, welcome back. We've been talking today with Lance Bodwell, and we've been talking restaurants, we've been talking investments, we've been talking a little bit of experience and how that pays off in running really any kind of business. And Lance, we've talked about what you've done, but and maybe some of the restaurants that are that you have on your plate for coming up soon. What's the big picture for you? How do you see what you're doing now? How do you expand upon that? Do you have any long-term goals? Do you have like maybe 5 and 10? What do you want to do in the next short period of time?
I mean, pretty much my whole life has been a 5-year plan. You know, it just I don't think I ever get to actually live in the moment. You know, so much until COVID hit, and then that was a whole other scenario. But you know, I mean, my business partner and I, Jeff, we had discussed probably 3 or 4 years ago how the craft beer scene, if you have a brewery, you don't have food. You know, so you have all these breweries, and sometimes they have 1,500 people coming in every Saturday for a brewery tour, and maybe they're there for 2 hours and then they're gone. You know, so I did create a company called Brewhouse Eatery, and with that, you can literally partner with any brewery anywhere in the United States and build like what we've done with Cedar Creek. So let's say in Miami, Florida, you have, the Dolphins brewery, and so you can literally create a Dolphins Brewhouse and Eatery in Miami, Florida, if you want.
So how does that work? I mean, are you building kind of a franchise structure around it, or what's the benefit to somebody for?
So I have had, and I'm not, it's kind of more vision at this point than it is reality for me. I have had some franchise people reach out to me and ask me about Cedar Creek franchising,
Right.
not realizing that I have an actual overall objective for something larger. And, as we've discussed that, I think it's kind of blown some minds, a little bit outside of the box, but at the same time, a lot of interest. So, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But I would definitely like to build at least, 7 Cedar Creeks in the next 5 years. And potentially, we'll see where that goes from there.
The partnership with Cedar Creek is a good one, obviously.
It is, yes.
How well known is their brews outside of, are they known outside Texas? Are they regional? What would you say?
For a while, they had expanded into 5 states, and they then changed their business plan and found that it was actually, they made just as much, if not more money, by shrinking their area and keeping it local. That's kind of what they've done, to point. I think that we have probably just by opening the restaurant and everyone thinking that it's a piece of the brewery has, really helped them as far as producing more beer, getting more of their beer and their name out there. So we have gotten some great press, D Magazine, different people, which always helps,
Always helps.
Yeah.
And it's worked it's a similar kind of a branding scenario that a lot of the wineries do,
Sure.
where they build upon the brand name of either one of the two sides, right?
Right.
Either the restaurant side or the brewery side, or
Yep.
whatever that happens to be. So I think you chose a great path, and it seems to be working for you very well. When you go into an area, say you were going into a new restaurant area, how do you choose what area you're going to go into? Do you look at demographic makeup? What do you?
I do. I look at the demographics. I also look at what the city needs. Really, like if the city's more of a secondary, tertiary market, I prefer that to a primary market like Dallas itself.
Why would you say that?
Because in Dallas, as a restaurateur, you're more than likely looking at about a 1.5 year shelf life if you're lucky. You get what we call the fickle 500, where you have, for the first 6 months, you can't get a reservation in the restaurant, and then the next 6 months, you can't get anybody to come in the doors, and then that last 6 months is a struggle, and you're shutting down. So
is that just because of the natural competitiveness of there? Is there just too many choices available?
It's the latest and greatest. What's the newest fad? Whereas when you get out into the smaller markets, the secondary, the tertiary markets, you can build with families, you can build with the communities, and you can become a staple, as people come into our restaurant, we take care of the kids, we have a great time with them, we build the families, you build those memories, you create that vision, and then as you grow later on in life, 10 years down the road, the child that was 11 and 12 when they were coming in are now 21, 22, and they're like, hey man, we've always gone there. That's a great place to go. And then when they're in their 30s, they're like, I've got my family. I'm taking my kids where my parents took me. Man, we used to always sit over here. It was fantastic. So,
can you? I've never thought about it from that perspective before, but I find with my wife and I, we do exactly that, right? We sometimes check out the newest and greatest, but we live at the one that we
right.
come by naturally, or somebody in the close area. Can you cultivate that relationship, say, with schools, or can you?
So we are trying to build more of a relationship with the schools, and
by schools, I don't necessarily mean it could be elementaries, it could be colleges or anything else.
Right. No, of course, 100%. And I feel that you can. There's one of the I can't think of it right now, but one of the kind of like chicken tenders companies, you know, they definitely partner with every high school and promote, you know, and I think it really helps. I think it's a very intelligent marketing strategy to get into. Canes, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Glad we have a studio audience today to rescue our poor memories.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, so Canes does that fantastic. You know, they do a great job with that.
Well, I think you've done a great job where you are. I want to help out those areas as much as we can by promoting other businesses in the area. And I know you do too, and that's part of this give and take. Our businesses need to contribute as well as not just take, right?
Right.
They have to contribute to the communities that they're in,
right.
or we don't get beyond these places. And particularly, you'd mentioned the COVID, but for this particular industry that was hit hard, recruiting is tough, but also the restaurant industries themselves have been, the restaurants have been affected very, very greatly. Things that people don't really think about, supply chains, and you've got a nice one there with your brews that help you out.
Sure.
Profit centers, what work well, and,
right.
and businesses. If you had one thing that you'd like to leave the audience with today about you, what are some of what's a big thing that you'd like, maybe not about you, but what's a big, is there anything that you want to leave that who Lance is or what he does and why he does it?
I just think that, you know, we all need to do a better job of supporting local. You know, that's a huge push for us. So support your local small businesses. You know, I mean, the chains they're gonna be fine, but it's the little guys that are trying to get their feet on the ground. The mom and pops, you know, those things. That's the most important thing, I think, for every community.
I think you're doing your part to help not only in your own little neck of the woods, but also in other areas around the city, which is commendable. I know you support everybody around there. I know you're hiring, as you'd said before, to build out your staff. So come on by and get a job at Cedar Creek. They're a great place to work for. We're going to wrap it up today. We could talk with Lance for quite a while, but we're going to call it the end of the show today. I'm Larry Kortkamp. This is Biz Pointz TV on the OBBM network. We are all about small local business. Thanks for watching today. Tune into the OBBM network for more information about local and small business. We always got your back.
To be a guest or request sponsorship information, contact the Kortkamp Group at 972-824-8001 today. Production and programming information requests for the OBBM network should be directed to Offbeat Business Media by calling 214-714-0495 or send your request to info@offbeatbusiness.com. Biz Pointz TV, podcast, and radio show are produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM network. Unauthorized use of logos, audio, video, or reproduction is strictly prohibited.